Hello, welcome back to the podcast, How to Play the Game of College. Y'all, we are in season three, part two. And y'all, I'm so excited about the guests that I have on the second half of this season. Of course, the theme is keeping it real about college. I want to make sure to bring individuals on who can tell you the real, everything that you need to know to make sure you are better prepared for college. But more importantly, when you get there, you're able to succeed in college. So without further ado, my guest today, the man himself, Mr. LaMar Scott. How you doing today, my guy?
My friend, my brother, I am so excited to be a part, to simply come by and share what I have to offer regarding how to play the game.
Man, and I know you're gonna tell us all the game about college, man. So again, super excited to have you on. And what we'll do, man, we're gonna dive right into it. You ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. Mr. Scott is the VP, Vice President of Student Affairs at the LeMoyne-Owen College, the only HBCU in Memphis, Tennessee. Real quick, man, I want to ask you real quick if you can give us a high level of what that means, being the Vice President of Student Affairs, and then take us back down memory lane. A lot of times students see us, who we are today, but really don't know the path that it took to get there, okay? I know that's a loaded question, but we'll start off about, what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, well, thank you so much again, Doc. I can start right where you said, being the Vice President for Student Affairs at LaMar College, fifth
Okay.
oldest historically Black college and university in the country, and as you stated, the only HBCU in Memphis.
Yes.
Being the Vice President of Student Affairs, I have the opportunity, the awesome privilege of having under, or as you would say, under your leadership,
Yeah.
my structure, admissions and recruitment, Title IX. So I serve as a Title IX coordinator as well. But we
Okay.
also have disability services, counseling services, the dean of students. So anybody have judicial issues or concerns, housing and residential life, all of the most intricate things that see a student from day to day. So the retention office, student success, so the advisors, the tutorial teams, and different things of that nature. So we're really the team that the student sees the most,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they get the most.
Mhm.
First of all, student activity. So the student union, the organizational affairs, and student government association, royal court, all those good things report under the division of student affairs, alongside cheerleading, as well as our university mascot. We just brought in a new mascot this year. His name is Walker.
Exactly.
So yeah, so we got some good things going on here at 807 Walker Avenue.
Man, that's great. And you said so many great things in that first question. And, in the book, man, How to Play the Game of College, I talk a lot about number one, college fit, right? And so when students are looking at different options, and today we got so many different options, man, from, our four-year institutions, you got technical schools, you got the colleges, HBCU. I know you start out with that, right? Why do you think, or how do you think HBCUs, when students are looking at various colleges, why should a student have a HBCU on their list of options, or why should they even consider it?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, my friend. And so I'll couple the second part of your initial question with this one in particular.
Okay.
As a graduate of Alcorn State University, the first land grant HBCU in the nation, founded by, well, at the particular time, founded by the state of Mississippi, but their first president was the first African American to ever sit in the U.S. Senate.
Okay.
On Rose Rebels. So there is this historic value, there is this social justice value, but then most of all, there is value add for you as a African American student, as a student who may come from underprivileged society, or marginalized living, or anything to that magnitude, right? So I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
for me, when it comes to the fact of the matter that you have an opportunity to go to an institution that literally meets you where you are and
That's
takes you
great.
to where it is that you want to go. The wraparound support, the services, how it is that we at our institutions many of the times don't look at why or how we don't have so many resources
Right.
compared to our larger institutions, the flagships of the states, which are normally the PWIs. We don't
Yeah.
look at it from the resource perspective that we don't have. What do we have in our hands to hurt you? And so we pick what we have in our hands. And so I believe that's what propelled me from Alcorn State University, graduating in 2018, working as a recruiter for 3 years,
Yeah.
right at about 3 years, and then
Okay.
my next level was the assistant director position, and then the associate, and then I became a director 2 times over at 2, larger HBCUs, and now humbly, been able to be bestowed this opportunity to meet students where they are, to help get them to where they wanna go. Career services is a huge thing,
Okay. Yeah.
hard to talk about. Our historically black colleges and universities, career services, professional development,
Mhm. Mhm.
student job placement, and
Yeah.
dealing with school placement. I believe, by and large, that if our students would take advantage of the resources at our institutions because of how African Americans relationship build and connect, you would
Right.
actually get more value proposition from coming to a LeMoyne-Owen or
Yeah.
College or a Lane or even an Alcorn or a Mississippi Valley because of relationship
Yeah. So
or
true.
and just the respect that we've garnered over the years because of the types of people we
Mhm.
place in jobs, the types of
Right.
that have now, become those senators and those governors and those
Yeah.
who have gone on to be the mayors of these wonderful cities and these different things, that we don't normally have or we don't normally see in
Right.
communities.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, man, I'm sold. I want to sign back up. Yes, yes, yes. I appreciate you for answering that question. And fun fact, I think I've shared this, I think even in the book, LeMoyne-Owen College was my first job in higher education. So I heard you mention recruiter, and it's when I really found my passion for higher ed, right? I came in as a recruiter, but Lemoyne allowed me to do so many other things from learning financial aid to missions to student activity to housing. I did it all. And I was like, I really like coming to work daily and really getting a chance to help students. And so from Lemoyne, I tell people I know we call it the source, right? It was just, yes, man, it really ignited that fire in me, man, to really now I'm been in higher education almost 20 years, which is crazy. So everything that you said, I'm a living witness, man, that is true. So students definitely consider HBCUs and really put that on your list of options as you're out here looking at various options when we talk about a post-secondary credential. Man, again, your first question, I'm going to go back to that again. Student engagement, right? How important, I love to always tell students, it's important not to only just to go to class, but to go to college and man, really have that total college experience. And we know a big part of that is student engagement. How important is it for a student to really get involved and engage at this institution? Yes.
Yeah, so so
Yeah.
so to your point, right out the gate, man, I think it's important when you start to think about choosing the institution you want to attend and how do you play that game.
Right.
It's really about, to your point, what are you looking for at the end of the tunnel, right? And so
Mhm.
it helps clarify your vision through the tunnel.
So
And
true.
so whatever it is that you really want to do once you get out of your 4 year, your 2 year, your vocational schooling, it's really important to say, hey, what organizations align with my views, my values, my goals? What can I be connected to, or who can I be connected to provide me the type of opportunities, the type of perspective,
Yeah.
even the type of bandwidth now, right? Because
Mhm.
once you get into the job market, it's more about network equaling net worth, as they say.
So true.
Um,
So true.
so so I
Yeah.
think when it comes to student engagement, there's many facets to this level of engagement. But I think most critically, students that are going to college, parents of college age students
Mhm.
must note that as they go through this transition, this phase of life, it's important that they know that only 20% to 30% of their time is academic based.
Right.
The
So true.
70 to
Yeah.
80% of the time, they will be engaging in the student union. They'll be joining clubs, organizations, the Divine Nine. They may, go to a HBCU or a PWI or another MSI that has some heritage or root in
Yeah.
religion. So there's gonna be these opportunities or these benchmarks that they must ensure that they complete, whether that be a chapel like at a LeMoyne-Owen or some of our other institutions that may have assemblies or different things of that nature. Um,
Right.
so, students have the opportunity once they go to college, when they have this student engagement experience, they get the opportunity to learn
Mhm.
who they are,
Yeah.
grow who they want to become, and then they can start to be who they really want to be, right?
Man.
When
So
you
true.
get to college, students get a reset. You get to start
Mhm.
all over. Many times, students are eager to go out of the country or go away from their parents,
Right.
sitting in 12 hours. Many students want to do studying abroad and different things of that nature. So within the student engagement realm, I mean, there's many levels to it, but I think first and foremost, students have to see what the bigger picture is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just align their steps in that picture, right?
Right. So true. So true. What would you say to the student who might be a extreme introvert? A lot of times students get on a college campus and they're like, I don't want to ask for help. I don't want to be as involved because I may be, shy, or I don't want to reach out to folks. I would just rather just go to class, get back in my car, go home. What advice would you get to that student to just say, hey, ask for help? Would you recommend anything for that particular student?
Yes, yes, I think that is one that is very powerful in such a time as this. We've come out of this COVID reality and living in a new normal, right? And
Mhm.
literally was just talking to Dr. Davis, our president, about how it is that now students would like to only do online classes and live in the dormitory,
Yeah.
right? But they're college age students. It's a new time and it's a new phenomenon, right? But I think to your point, students must find their tribe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think once students find their tribe,
It just
they triumph, right?
got you. Got
They
you.
so
Yeah.
it's the moment the student says, "Well, I'm a gamer."
Mhm,
He
mhm.
has esports.
Right.
I may not want to talk a whole lot,
Mhm.
but I can play a lot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For that student who says, "Hey, look, I'm just a reader. I'm
Mhm,
a
mhm.
stickler for studying, and I like to just go to the library and go back to the dorm." Learn your classmates. Just right?
Right. Mhm.
Be a peer tutor. Get
Yeah.
a extra change in your pocket. That
Yeah.
opportunity to help generically build relationship and generically become willing to be a part of community in a
So true.
generic way. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
very, blanketed way to be, able to make some easing level of involvement,
Mhm,
y-
mhm.
evolvement, right?
Yeah.
Because because we know once you get into the job market, you have to be able to communicate with people.
So true.
Whether that
So true.
whether that be via email, Zoom,
Right.
Teams, or face to face.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, whether you're working from home, you still have meetings. You still
So
have
true.
marks and
Yeah.
sprints.
Yeah.
You still have metrics that you will have to communicate, and
Right.
procedures that align with different levels of communication.
Mhm, mhm.
So to some degree, like you just said, what is it that really helps students? I believe it's just finding your tribe.
Right.
Taking,
I love that.
taking the time to think about one or two, three things that
Mhm,
you really are
mhm.
passionate about, you're really most
Right.
passionate about, and you just kind of lean into them,
Right. So true. So true. And like you said, starting small. I
That's
see
it.
a lot of
That's
times
it.
when we think about involvement, you think, hey, I got to be in 20 different scenes, right? It could just be, hey, like you said, maybe just hanging out with your classmates to start out with, learning them, going to the student union to see what organizations are there. And
Yeah.
each semester, say, hey, I'm going to sign up for one thing.
There you go.
So,
There you go.
yeah, so I love it.
I think it's very important that students who go to college or universities that neighbor their city. There may be
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
from your high school that's going. There
Mhm,
may be
mhm.
somebody from your general community, right,
Right.
that's going. And so building that level of connection and rapport with those that are already around you, that
So
once you
true.
get into that new environment, you kinda have a sense of support. You may feel
Right,
like you have somebody that can help back you up a little bit,
so true,
navigate this.
so true.
Yeah.
Great, man. You're saying some really great gems. I know students are taking notes, parents are taking notes. So when we think about, man, I know your office covers, like you said, when a student is like recruited, when they get there, really up to graduation, right? What are some of the common challenges? We do want to talk about this, right? Students, again, we love our institutions. We want them to get involved, have a great experience. But reality, sometimes students get there and they don't stay, right? They don't persist. They don't even really stay from the one semester to the next. What are some of the common challenges when we think about our freshman students who come in that they fall into some of those pits? We want to talk about some of those so they can hopefully avoid them. Can you maybe give us maybe 2 or 3 that you see?
Yeah, yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think the biggest 2 everybody knows, whether you know it or not, the other. The first one is the money,
Yeah, yeah.
and that experience of going through the financial aid process and
Okay.
trying to budget out, how are you gonna fare out in regards to financially being able to support yourself through college,
Mhm.
right? I think how you can overcome said pitfall, right? If
Okay.
you're applying for scholarships early, whether you're a 10th grader or a ninth grader, there are opportunities for you to begin to, as we expand in this educational system across the
Right.
country, students are receiving college credit as early as ninth grade now.
So
So
true.
leaning into those opportunities is quite important if you want to go on and soar beyond a bachelor's degree, have a
Mhm.
master's degree, and even a doctorate degree. They have internships, they have job shadowing opportunities, and they also have scholarships for students as early as ninth and 10th grade, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
just leaning into some of those opportunities, trying to figure out what is your best fit, what really piques your most interest. Are you gonna
Mhm.
be able to stay that course and different things of that nature? Because that's what's gonna supply the monetary value add
Mm,
or
mhm.
where you go,
Right.
depending on
So
where you
true.
really wanna go, right? But
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you may just have to go
Mhm.
as a consequence of not being able to afford taking out as much in loans or
Right.
being able to afford your parents being able to
Mhm,
support you
mhm,
through that, being able to find a solid work study opportunity once you get to campus, and just
mhm.
kinda thinking about, what is the cost of tuition, right? What is the grant aid for students
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
state? What is the
Right.
GPA requirement? So, like in the
Mhm,
state of
mhm.
Tennessee, for students to get TSAT, they have to have a certain GPA, a certain SAT or SAT requirement.
Right, right.
And they're gonna automatically get these things as a
Mhm,
consequence of. And so just aligning yourself in a number of ways, whether they be internal scholarships at that institution, external scholarships within your state,
yeah.
local city government, fraternities and sororities, and just trying to drill down on getting as much as you can to
Mhm, mhm.
provide you the best experience
So
you're
true.
looking for in the end, right? So that's the
So
deep
true.
dive. But I also
Yeah.
think where we are now in 2025, it's mental.
Mhm.
It's
Mm,
health.
mhm.
People may say, "Well, Scott, how is it that mental health is a pitfall or a bottleneck?"
Yeah,
Look at the research, do the numbers, crunch them. You'll find, by and large, it's the students who have the willingness to stay, but they don't have any fight left in them to now stay.
that's huge.
You
Yeah,
may
yeah.
say you may say, "Scott, how is that?" There's the burden of having to go back to the financial aid line.
Mm,
There's
mhm.
the concern of having to go and seek tutorial support. When
Right.
maybe I mean, we have students who come in with 3.0s and
Yeah.
scoring 4.0 and 5.0 GPAs, weighted GPAs, but once they get to the collegiate experience,
Different ball game, right.
it's
So true.
everybody's back at baseline.
So true.
So
Yes. Yes.
there's this space where your ego gets tripped up a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And so now your mind may play tricks on you.
Yeah, yeah.
And the only way you can overcome is through counseling services, mm, tutorial services, being able to work with your student success coaches or your academic advisors.
Right.
There may be a faculty member that you really take to. You lean into those opportunities. But mental health at this particular juncture, where we are coming out of out of
Yeah.
post pandemic, you know, you're talking about a student population where many of them were used to just being on their phones in class because of the digital divide, right? And some states not having the bandwidth for the technology,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so students are mentally and physically exhausted, possibly
Mhm.
from that experience, and you don't know how to adjust to sitting in the classroom, or those that do take online classes, they're now saying, "Wow, this is getting overwhelming," right?
I
The size of the institution you may go to may be much larger than the high school you went to.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
the demographics may be different. So
Right.
it could press upon the mental health in ways that are unseen,
So true.
and even unheard many
Mhm.
times, right? Students leave institutions now and they have no reason, quote unquote, when they fill out that withdrawal slip.
Right, right. Yeah.
They just know they're at wit's end. They just know they're done. They know that they've identified something that's causing them not to want to go another.
So true. So true.
So money and mental health, I believe, are two big monsters that are causing
Yeah.
the pitfalls.
Right. And again, going back to the common theme with both, right? Just ask for help, right? And there's so many great resources at LeMoyne and so many different institutions. But folks want to help, but if they don't know to help, so you gotta. I start off the book. The first chapter is ask for help. Very key. Mr. Scott, we are at the end, man. Can you believe it? Now you're saying some great things. I feel like we need a part two. Seriously.
Yes, sir. Well, I'd be happy to
Yeah,
learn
yeah.
further.
No, thank you so much. So I guess the last question for you, in 2025, right, the conversation around the value of college, it keeps coming up. We have students that are graduating from high school that says, hey, college is a waste of time. I could be a content creator. I can be on TikTok. I can go work at Amazon right up the street, make $20 an hour, 35 from overtime. Why should I even consider college? Talk to that student.
Man, very loaded. But
Yeah, yeah.
one thing I learned pretty early in my career is this: there is a cost to everything.
So true.
So the question is, when you count the cost of where you want to be in your future,
Mhm,
are you willing to do this or that?
mhm. Yeah, yeah.
You're in that season of, am I willing to go the road less traveled, or do I go the road that's always been traveled on? You have
So
to
true.
ask yourself and do some level of introspection. You have to do
Yeah,
what Dr. Natalie Williams would say. She's always talking about this interview.
yeah.
And that's looking on the inside of yourself and asking yourself the larger question. Where do you wanna be? Where do you wanna go? What do you really wanna do? And once you
True.
find that out, then you start to navigate the college process of
Man,
finding which institution best fits and best supports what you really wanna do and where you
man.
wanna go in your life. And once you figure out, what you wanna do, where you wanna go, some institutions that have those opportunities to
Yeah,
provide that
yeah.
level of access and support, then you say, "Hey, what else do I look for in that collegiate experience? Is it the size of the institution? Is it the grant aid packages, for the financial support that I may need? Is it the athletic opportunity, whether I wanna be a student athlete or I just wanna go and be a part of a HBCU or a PWI or another
Yeah.
PBI or MSI that has football, basketball, baseball? They may have a marching band that you're really excited or ignited
Yeah, yeah,
you wanna join and be a part of. So I think there's a number of things that students have to start to think about, but I think the first thing is just going back and saying, when you talk about, "Is it worth it?" You have to ask
yeah.
yourself the larger question. What's your vision for your life? And
Mhm.
what does it cost for you to get there? Have you
Right.
done the research? Have you rendered the time that it took for so and so to create this business, or this person to create that business, or this business mongol to get to where he or she is
Yeah, yeah,
at this particular point in life? And if you notice, many of them took after the age of 35 and 40
yeah.
be who they now are.
So
So,
true, so true.
you at 18, you at 17, you at 19, you
Mhm,
still
mhm.
have 21 years
Man.
in a gap window between where
Right.
they actually peaked and
Mhm,
got to where
mhm.
they are, for you to be able to sit back and say, "Hey, let me look at the top 5 people that I
Yeah,
kind of see myself trying to work to become or work to type not to necessarily imitate,
yeah,
to
yeah.
innovate to be similar to," and then you
Right.
think, "What did it take for them to get there?" And if I
So true.
look back at those 5 or 4 people, I'm able to start to navigate what my life needs to start to look like so that I can become or that I can do this level of work on their level by where they are or before
Right.
where they made it.
Man. Mr. Scott, you just said some great information, man.
Thank you,
We
man.
need to play this back daily. I'm gonna make this a short. And if folks hear this daily, man, the world will be a better place. So, man, I appreciate you, man. I'm excited about what you're gonna bring or doing currently, man. It's been what, 6 months since you've been at LeMoyne?
Yes, 6
About 6
months.
months. Okay, yeah, yeah. So, man, I know it's just the beginning, man. I'm excited about what you're gonna do at the institution and for the city of Memphis and for the students. And definitely thank you to the guests for tuning in today. Make sure y'all share, like, comment. Mr. Scott is gonna be watching y'all the comments. He's gonna reply back. And if you want to find out more information about LeMoyne, we would make sure to put the link in the YouTube video as well. And so,
Oh,
thank you so much, man, for being on the podcast today.
yes, sir. Thank you so much for the wonderful opportunity. Much love.
Yes. Thank you.